Okay. Okay. So I know that we get, as fans, very upset when our team loses, especially in a heartbreaking, close loss against a really good team. Well, I mean, for any team, for that matter, but should we be bad mouthing our players? I want to talk about that in today's video. And folks, welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs podcast. My name is Greg. I am your host. A lot of times we have Brandon Scott here with us. I'm doing this one solo. And if you're new to this channel, basically it's commentary for the Washington Commanders, a team that I have been a fan of, Washington Redskins, since 1981, and I know that seems impossible because I'm 26. Well, okay, add a few years to that. Anyway, we're going to get into this video, but please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel, and when you do, also hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. We are releasing this on both Rumble and YouTube. That's right, YouTube. You have competition. Anyway, let's get into this. So, last Sunday, the Washington Commanders had some mistakes. What I consider at this point uncharacteristic mistakes, because the Commanders have been playing really good football. And if anybody was going to beat them, they would have to beat them soundly, right? Because they were not going to beat themselves. A lot of times, bad teams will find ways to lose games. Good teams, if they lose a game, it's usually because of some tremendous play that, or a controversial play, or just something no one would have expected, no one could have game planned for. Well, in this game against the Steelers, we saw that there was some nuances to pressure and things like that. Jaden Daniels was pressured a lot more. The Steelers kept him in check, and he didn't really get to use his legs a lot in this game. Didn't run a lot, and so that really forced Jaden Daniels to stay in the pocket and throw the football. And they also sped up his time a little bit, just enough to get him off of his game. He missed a wide open Luke McCaffrey that would have been 6. Um, you know, he missed a few passes were off the mark that were called, but yeah, just wasn't a great day for Jaden Daniels. But it was also not a great day for guys like Omalad Zacchaeus, who muffed 2 punts, but lost one of them, which we felt was pretty crucial for the game. And of course, a lot of people have been really upset over Benjamin st-Juste getting flat out burnt. With the one play that Mike Williams came in for, which was a touchdown catch for Mike Williams. And of course, that put the Steelers up in front for good. But, can we as fans have to realize that a lot of these players on social media as well. Brian Robinson Jr. posted a comment on social media about how, this really does affect the mental health of players when they read some derogatory things from fans on social media. And yeah, you can say, well, suck it up, you're a man, you're a professional, and guess what? You're a public figure, so you are open to scrutiny. And I kind of believe that to a certain extent. A lot of celebrities, sports figures, politicians, they're in the public spotlight. They're in the public eye, and they have to realize that they're going to be under the microscope a lot of times. They're going to be under a lot of scrutiny. And because of that, sometimes you're going to have some very derogatory things said about you. Now, I think we as fans also have to realize that these football players are putting their bodies on the line, right? For our entertainment. Let that sink in. While we're on the couch, with our special drink and our chicken wings, and we're, cheering on our favorite team, those football players are out there risking their health, um, getting hit, getting injured for our entertainment. It's like the old Roman gladiator games, right? I mean, that's the gridiron. I mean, really, that's football, and it's not just football; it's other sports. But we're talking about NFL football here. These players risk their bodies, and you have to realize that they're, at the end of the day, they're human as well, right? And they're just as upset that they didn't make the play, they didn't win the football game, or they feel like they lost the football game for their team. Guys like Johnny Newton, guys like Benjamin St-Juste. You can make an argument for Zach Ertz and things like that. Putting blame on any of these guys, Zacchaeus. You have to realize that these players are doing the best they can. Sometimes, and I'm preaching to the choir on this, I know, but I'm also preaching to myself as well, because there's been times where I've posted things negative about players on social media, and I realized later on, I'm like, that probably was, well, it wasn't just probably, it was very unfair of me to do that. And it was in the heat of the moment. I was upset. I was mad. But later on I realized, these guys, they're put sometimes in um, impossible situations. And what looks like to us was just a completely boneheaded play. Sometimes you don't, I mean, you as a fan, you don't really understand the split second decision making that some of these players have to make, especially on defense. A cornerback is probably a very tough position to play. Now, that one play with Benjamin St-Juste where he got burnt, and he did get burnt. I mean, you can't really, and he'll probably tell you the same thing. He said he had two choices to make, and he's got to make them, and you got to make the right choice. He didn't make the right choice. He owns up to it. You know what? God bless him for owning up to making the bad play that cost his team. But he's not the only one, of course. Again, Zacchaeus, muffing punts. You know what? A lot of this happened with some of our Redskins greats that we just glorify nowadays. Guys that played 30, 40 years ago, they had games just the same. They had games where they fumbled the football a couple of times. They got burnt, whatever. And we didn't chastise, well, we couldn't chastise them much. We didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet back then. But, I guess it was a little bit easier for them because they're not the constant, barrage of insults and all of this that social media tends to bring. But these players had bad games too. And overall, the Commanders had a bad game, but it was still a game that they could have won. And that's, I think that's the most difficult thing to I guess take, is because number one, the Steelers are a very good team, and they should have beaten the Steelers, because we can safely say now the Washington Commanders are a very good team. and they should have beaten the Steelers. But on the bright side of that, the fact that we're saying that the Washington Commanders should have beaten a very good team is indicative to the great job that Dan Quinn and his coaching staff has put together for this team, for the players that Adam Peters has brought in for this team, and everything that ownership is doing for this team. Those are things that we have to hang our heads on. We're 7-3. Okay, short turnaround Thursday night against a division rival, who right now has half game up ahead of us. Who would have ever thought that the Washington Commanders would have been in this position this year? Nobody thought that. We all thought 7 wins at best, and we would have been very happy with 7 wins. But as it stands now, we've raised our expectations because they have outperformed way ahead of schedule. And, all I got to say now is, let's get out there and let's beat some Eagles